Welcome to 4i Radio. This is Jay Rojas. On this episode, we're going to talk about cleaning up space junk, crystal armored ants, and ways to combat the ill effects of sitting on our butts for too long. Space junk and the mission to clean it up. The European Space Agency, or ESA, has a nice summary of how much man-made objects are now floating in orbit around Earth. And what's troubling is that most of it is now considered space junk. Here are just some quick numbers. Since the space age started in 1957, there have been 5,560 rocket launches, 9,600 satellites are orbiting Earth, there are roughly 22,300 pieces of debris floating in space, and it translates to roughly 8,800 tons of man-made objects all floating up there. The numbers clearly point to a not-so-good picture of the space around Earth, as it is now literally becoming a junkyard as more objects are accumulating in space came from the collision or failure of satellites. This is a growing problem as there is less space for new satellites that will be launched in more numbers in the coming years as our communication and internet needs continue to grow. In response, the European Space Agency has hired a startup company, ClearSpace SA from Switzerland, clean up space through the Active Debris Removal in Orbit Servicing, or ADRIOS project, launching a satellite that will pick up debris in Earth orbit just like a space tow truck. This project is hailed as the start of commercial space services by private companies. So it's not actually going to Mars on a vacation trip, it's cleaning up our junk in space. Crystal armored ants. It's usually the stuff of fantasy and science fiction, but leafcutter ants native to Central America have been discovered to have rocky, crystal armor plates in their exoskeletons. Their armor is a dense layer of biogenic high magnesium calcite. Mineralization of biological parts usually occur in teeth, as it needs to be tough to do its job of grinding food. Finding this in the exoskeleton of leafcutter ants is quite rare. What does the leafcutter ant need a rock crystal armor for? Aside from protection from predators, it keeps the ants safe from fungi, which they grow from leaves in their nest, just like how we humans farm plants like vegetables for food. Most species of ants are vulnerable to fungi, and an infestation could easily wipe out a nest. So this discovery is evidence that the leafcutter ant has evolved to become symbionts with the fungi. What was once natural enemies are now partners in this game of life. The discovery has been published in Nature by a group of researchers led by Cameron Curie, an evolutionary biologist at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Sitting is the new smoking, and how to combat its ill health effects. There's growing scientific knowledge that further strengthens the saying that sitting is the new smoking, and with the coronavirus pandemic forcing most of us to stay, study, and work at home, we are spending more time sitting in chairs or being idle more than ever. This sedentary lifestyle has some serious long-term effects on our health, including early death or a shorter life expectancy. The solution is quite simple. Do more exercises. This is the newest health guidance from the World Health Organization, as recently published in a special dedicated issue of the British Journal of Sports Medicine. How much more exercise? More than the current recommendation of at least 30 minutes a day, so it's not that much. Now, if you dread going to the gym or lifting weights and all of that, heavy stuff, it doesn't need to be that drastic. It's enough to just climb the stairs instead of using the lift or escalators, taking a walk or jogging around the block. Some home gardening or other physically intense activity would help you stave off the risks brought on by prolonged sitting in front of the TV, the computer, or playing with smartphones. Basically, any amount of physical activity is so much better than just sitting around. So please, after listening to this episode or while you're listening to this episode, get up and get moving. Listen to this on the treadmill or while going on a walk, jogging around, or biking around the neighborhood. It will really do you a lot of good. Hope you enjoyed the show. All the links to the articles featured are found on the show notes, along with ways to subscribe and get in touch if you have any questions or feedback. You can get Monday Mashup as an email by subscribing to rockas.ph/newsletter. It comes out every Monday. Now, aside from the featured articles I talk about on the podcast, it also features a cool video of the week, cool piece of art that I found online. So if you're up for it, do subscribe via email. And again, that's rojas.ph/newsletter. You can also find me on Twitter at jrojas. Thank you for listening. See you all on the next episode.